Wargaming's Beat Matt Bat Rap.
Matthew here from MiniWargaming.com, bringing you another Warhammer Fantasy Battle Report. This time it's going to be between Paul's Orcs and Goblins against, of course, my Tomb Kings, because
I'm just Goblins.
No Orcs?
No Orcs at all.
Okay.
Goblins.
Paul's Goblins against my Tomb Kings,
yeah.
And all I have is Tomb Kings. And it's only 1,500 points because we just wanted to get a quick game in to be able to practice with our armies. Both Paul and I don't have a lot of experience with fantasy, so please go easy on us if we do rules a little wrong, or if our strategies aren't the most sound strategies, or if our army compositions could use improvement. Feel free to discuss that in the comments below. Flame responsibly. Let's take a look at the armies.
Let's start off by taking a look at Paul's Goblins. Now, like you said before, it's not an Orc and Goblin army, it's just a Goblin army. So everything you see here is Goblins, and maybe some Trolls and Spiders as well. So this is all 1,500 points. Leading the army, there is, right here we have not this guy right here, he's just a boss. This is the general right here, the guy with the big scythe. He's actually stronger than he looks. It's very deceiving how strong he happens to be. There's the battle standard bearer there, as well as a shaman, and that other guy with the big axe is just a regular boss of some sort. This is just a group of regular goblins with spears and shields. And they have these three guys. I don't remember the name of them, but basically they are hidden, and then they pop out of the unit at some point, and they have first strike and 3 attacks each. A nice big group of Night Goblins. This is 10 wide, so they do count as being a horde, which means they'll be able to fight a few ranks deep. This is a bunch of Goblins riding spiders, and so they're nice and fast, and there's kind of like a fast flanking group. This is the Squig Herders. The Squigs are actually very strong. They're strength 5, but only toughness 3 with no save, so they're easy to kill. And we got a group of 3 Trolls, and a couple Night Goblin fanatics who pop out of the Night Goblin group. And of course, the prize piece of the army is the huge Arachnorid, or Ragnarok, or something. Anyway, and he's got a bunch of Goblins on his back. So that's Paul's 1,500 points. On my side, we have 1,500 points of Tomb Kings. I went for a very core army, just something that's very solid and hoping that it will work in my strategy. And so you look here, first off it's being led by a Tomb King, and he's got some nice magic weapon and magic armor upgrades to make him nice and beefy. And then we have 2 Lich Priests. This is just a regular Lich Priest on a steed, and then this is the Hierophant, and he's a level 2 wizard. He's going to be joining the squad of archers. This is one large group of 50 skeleton warriors with full command. We've got a group of 16 skeleton horse archers, or horseman archers. There's some regular horsemen proxying as horseman archers. We've got 6 chariots with full command, and 16 archers. So the Hierophant will join the archers, and the Tomb King will join the skeletons. The skeletons are basically going to move up the center, the chariots will hold back, and then hopefully be able to countercharge, whereas the skeleton horsemen archers are going to outflank, or basically do their scout thing where they can go wherever they want. And that's hopefully just to kind of keep them occupied in the flanks. So very straightforward strategy, but let's see if it works. So going back and forth with the deployment, you can see that he's put the bulk of his army in the middle, and of course I'm going to do the same. That with my chariots here, as I said before, my skeletons are going to move up and the chariots are going to hold back just a bit, and that way if my skeletons get charged, I can countercharge with the chariots, and if he doesn't charge and I manage to get close enough, then I can charge with both groups, which would hopefully be even more devastating. The only problem I think I'm going to have is against his large Arachnarok, or whatever it's called, and that's because I don't really have anything that's high strength or artillery or anything like that. The Tomb King could probably stand against him, but we'll have to wait and see. So going back and forth here, I do finish deployment first, but I will get +1 to my initiative roll, and so he's just finishing off it with adding all of his extra guys, and then to finish it off I get to deploy my scouts, which of course is my horsemen archers, which I'm going to deploy right on his flank. Now it happened that I just have enough room because I have to be 12 inches back, and it turns out when I put him just on the edge that I am exactly 12 inches away from his nearest group, which is a big deal. Now if I do get first turn, I don't get to charge with them on first turn. Scouts are not allowed to charge if you get first turn. So we'll see what happens there. So you can see just the core with a couple Lich Priests supporting it. So it's a light magic army. On his end it's even lighter. He only has 1 wizard. And it's a level 2 wizard, but it's still only 1 wizard. So this is overall going to be more just a meaty battle, just with strength against toughness, and not so much with magic playing a huge factor. We roll off, I win, and I get first turn, which is really nice because that means I can get into position and pepper him with some archery shots before we go any further. So I start off with my skeleton warriors just moving up, and then my chariots move and they hold back just a bit. I'm not too worried about being charged in the first turn, but I want to be careful not to have anything crazy happen. And the chariots do have a banner that allows them to move +1 inches further, so they have +1 to their movement, which is kind of nice. It gives them a 9-inch move instead of 8. And then my horseman archers are moving, keeping in the flank so they can't be charged on his first turn. In the magic phase, I get 9, or I get 10 dice because I did channel 1 extra, and he gets 6. And basically, I tried my magic vortex, which doesn't go very far, so it's not too effective. I also managed to cast multiple shots on my group of archers, so they're going to get 32 shots instead of 16. So my horseman archers fire into his spiders, and manage to cause 3 wounds, and he only saves 1 of those, so he loses 2 of his spiders. And then these archers are going to try to peg off a troll from a distance. Rolling really sucked here, and it didn't do very well. This is the second set of shots. I only managed to do 3 wounds, and he saves 2 out of 3 of those, so only takes 1 wound from all that firing. I probably should have fired into his night goblins. It's just hard to fire into a horde group because it feels like you're doing so little. And the chariots fire into his regular goblins, and of course he saves both of the wounds that I actually managed to inflict. Now in his turn 1, he is nowhere within charge range, so he's just going to be marching most of his units, maybe taking some pot shots if he needs to. And so all of his guys are marching up right into the center, getting ready to take a charge or make a charge or whatever he happens to want to do. These are very large groups, which means there'll be lots of attacks back and forth. So it's interesting because in this case we have such large groups that there's very little that needs to move around. So the game was actually able to go a lot faster. But neither Paul and I have a really good grasp of the rules, so we were doing a lot of looking up of rules, so that slowed down the game a lot. His spiders move up, trying to kind of get out of range. As a Ragnarok, or the big giant, I'll just call it giant spider from now on. It moves up. We move the trees out of the way because you just can't fit there. So in the magic phase, not much happens with him. I dispel most of his stuff except his magic vortex, which moves 4d6 inches. And it manages to go over 2 of my skeletons. I have to make a toughness test in this case, and I lose 1 of them. So not too big a deal, except that it stays in play and it moves around. He then opens fire with the goblins on the back of the giant spider and actually manages to kill 2 archers. I'm not too worried because I'm able to get them back. So, not a very eventful round 1, but that's usually the way it is with most war games. You can see that we're getting a position. I will be in charge range of a couple things, so that it'll be some critical rolls. If I fail any charges, then he'll be able to charge me. And hopefully I'll be able to flank his spiders and see if I can do any damage there. There's a couple of magic vortexes on the board, ready to move around when they need to be. But other than that, we're just getting in position, getting ready to see what will happen. So, based on what you've seen so far, which isn't very much, who do you think is going to win? Go ahead and post a comment below, and stay tuned for round 2.
Visit miniwargaming.com to see our videos 1 month early.